Okay, this is Marc Ash, better known in the pro wrestling world as Mean Marc Ash. Now that I'm just doing the Comic Con circuit and, acting in some movies and some TV stuff, it's just Marc Ash. All over social media, but I'm here today to talk to you about silent depression. Um, but first, I'm going to talk about a silent disease because that's kind of what led to my silent depression. What we mean by silent is there are things you can't see people are going through. Um, I went for being this.
All right, me and Marc Ash, where are we at with this match?
We're at Swansboro, North Carolina in May of 2000 in an ECW arena type show. There was just where they were hosting tryouts. Fortunately, none of us got hired because not more than 6 months later they were out of business.
That's a good thing.
The larger than life wrestling character. It's been everywhere, wrestled everybody, done everything, seen everything, made the movies, got the T-shirt, all that good stuff. I go from up to my, I'd say late 30s, early 40s, could still wrestle an hour-long match and not even be breathing hard when it was over with. Now I try to play with my puppy for 5 minutes. I'm in bed for 2 or 3 days. It's one of those things that's taken a really big toll on me because, I'm, like I said, I've always been the larger than life, unbeatable, and, never quit, never stop, come at you. I'm going to get your character to, being in bed, I'd say 20 plus days a month, bedridden. First, you're still on social media because you got your phone or your laptop there with you, and you're putting on a strong face for your fans and the movie producers and directors and et cetera, et cetera. And you're still trying to put on a strong face for your family and friends. And I think my dog Grim here is trying to make a cameo. But you go from being unstoppable to you hit the wall smoking and spinning. And like I said, you're putting on a strong face, for the fans. You need to try to put on a strong face for your family, your friends, to the point that you start lying to yourself, trying to put on a strong face that you can overcome this. Because I look at the time frame I got into wrestling. I didn't fit the body type, and it was but if you knew how many doors I kicked down, how many glass ceilings I've shattered, how many forbidden doors I had to go through to get anywhere. And that's the thing. I've always had to never say die. You tell me I'm not, I'm gonna tell you I will, and I'll show you I will. And now I go to from that to I can't get out of bed most days, and it's one of those things that Graham, you're gonna have to move, buddy. You're making me look unprofessional. And the thing is, it's one of those things that's hard. And it not only takes a toll on you because it leads to depression, and depression is silent. And in my case, being I would find the strength to muster up, to fight through, to make it to my Comic Con appearances, to make it to my movie shoots, and force my way through the days roll and things like that. I'm like I said, I'm lying to myself that I can still do it, even though it's just wiping me out, and then it starts taking a toll on me at home because, you're not the same person you were. And, that's why I'm going to bring my beautiful wife in, Kristy, to talk with us about that, kind of what it's done to, or what it was doing to our relationship and, our family unit and things before, she made me realize that, yes, you are going through a depression, and we finally, and Graham trying to do his cameo appearances again. He's trying to be like Daddy, I guess, and be on the camera. But, Kristy, you tell them a little bit about, what, the disautonomia is and, how it led to the depression that, like I said, I was depressed to even realize it and, how it affected us.
Well, like you said, you've always been larger than life, a larger than life character. In front of the camera and behind the scenes, always been larger than life. And this has been something that, it started, he had to have actually reconstructive foot surgery back in 2020. And then a year and a half later, he was back in where he had like severe cervical, spinal stenosis, severe, that he had to have neck surgery. And, while we were going through that, we had anticipated the recovery time, that was going to be challenging in itself. But his recovery, first, he had, it wasn't as smooth. He had a difficult recovery with his foot surgery, and then also with your neck surgery. But when the neck surgery occurred, he just was not, the doctors were baffled of why he was not bouncing back. He was having more symptoms, the dizziness set in, his blood pressure it's still through the roof. It's been an ongoing battle just trying to get a diagnosis, the proper diagnosis for it. And first it started out as like, okay, he had, some of these symptoms were what they call POTS, or what they call vagal syncope, where he was passing out all the time. First they said it was the bright lights, if you go out in the sunlight, he would pass out, because they said that, his, we weren't sure exactly, the reason, but that was occurring as often because it's not something that he had experienced before. And we were just talking up to, well, okay, this is probably part of, the recovery from, the surgeries he's had. He's just not healing, or something occurred that we couldn't put our finger on. And the medical profession, I cannot tell you the number of doctors we've gone to, have seen, have, sought, advice from, referrals, heart surgeons, cardiologists, endocrinologists, neurologists, the list goes on, more than one, multiple, the first, circling back around like to his foot surgery, after that, during the recovery, they couldn't understand. He lost 80 pounds with not changed to his exercise or his diet. And they're like, okay, well, let's test him to see if it's cancer, because that's the first thing that they would say. Why are you losing weight without reason? We can't understand why you're losing this much weight. And come to find out now, that's part of the disautonomia symptoms, is where his body, it's a neurological disorder. And of course, Mark, we have learned, we've gone to Johns Hopkins, and they finally did we stayed there for a week, and they did a battery of testing on his sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, among other things, and found out that he has one of the most severe cases of dysautonomia that you would have, which has how many, it ranges from sugar dumps, adrenal dumps, one week he's, diabetic and like kidney failure, and then come back for a test, blood sugar readings like 5 days later, and he's back to within normal range. And it's where that's part of, I guess, what they're saying, to say is like your neurological signals are misfiring. They're not being able to regulate his body. And that has taken a toll on us, the frustration of not understanding what to do or how to get you treatment, and, relying on a medical community or professions that really, it's not that it's not known, it's just not in the mainstream. So, of course, going through that alone is stressful for any person individually, but even as a couple or as a relationship, that has a strain, because the frustration and the sadness, and you get angry as well because you want answers, and you want to be able to fix it, or to help each other, or to help him feel better, or just not knowing. And I think really, as far as like for him, not being able to fight the fight that he normally can go, like in a ring or go to a gym or have, take it out on a punching bag. He wasn't even able to do that to fix that. He couldn't fight this fight the way he typically approached things, and not having, I guess you would say, like a guidebook to understand what you can do to help yourself get better. For him, I knew was difficult. And like depression's like, he's got to be depressed. It's like, Mark, you gotta, it's normal to be this, because even for me, all the emotions, you're mad, you're angry, you're sad, you're the unknown. It's for both of us. And then also, me, it's like taking the role as being the caregiver, and him as the husband, being the leader and the head of the household and the protector, and the provider. That was, difficult. I guess you would say not like an identity crisis, but I understand it. And then the stress, is on me as the caregiver and the wife and the one who just loves him even as a friend. All of that, it gets tested, and your relationship is tested. But the fact that, we've gone through a lot together, not just in our individual lives, but together as a couple. And this has been one of the biggest tests that we've gone through. But for him to recognize and to go through that, you want to help him fight the battle. But when, both of us had that, I guess, depression as well, because I've always been wanting to be the fixer. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to find the answers, and this is what we do. We've got a plan, and then this is just, you couldn't plan around this. And so for him, in his own individual journey and fight, I can imagine how difficult that has been for him, but also for us, as a couple. Of course, you naturally, the depression sets in. So that I can see where, from him being from this horrible disease or condition, which, unfortunately there isn't a cure. And that's something that, we're both dealing with.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the type that I got, I think you said, the average lifespan is 6 years from diagnosis. And, I'm 2 years in before they truly diagnose it, but then they tell you could also drop dead in a day. And, symptoms are different every day. I mean, you go from, I wake up, extremely dizzy, can't walk, the next day, just excruciating pain, the next day, GI problems. The next day, I feel like I can run a marathon, and you don't know what you get until you wake up, and like I said, I'm going to Comic-Cons and meeting with my fans, and, I'm still pushing through movie roles and everything. You're putting on a strong face, but, that's what I'm saying, they call it a silent disease. People are like, well, you look good, can't be that bad, and it's just like the depression, which leads to, you don't see it. You can't see it. Only I can feel it. You only see what we portray to you and not what's truly going on inside of us. And, so, like running to me at Comic-Con and, and I'm all happy and jovial and laughing and cutting up, but really I feel like I want to just curl up in a ball and die. I mean, you don't know what's going on inside a person. But like I said earlier, it leads to the silent depression. And she helped me realize that. And of course, then I was able to open up and talk, a little more. And that's why I'm making this video. I'm all over social media. I mean, if you're not comfortable talking to a family member, if you're not comfortable talking to a friend, you want to reach out and talk to, somebody like me that you feel like larger than life's got this under control, and I'll be glad to talk to you because, in reality, I'm helping you by giving you somebody to talk to, but you're also, letting me get it out even more too. So, because like I said, I want to advocate for these silent problems people have because that's what I'm experiencing. And it's time people spoke up for it. It really is. because suicide rates would drop if people knew they could get help. I mean, it doesn't have to be a family member. It doesn't have to be a close friend. It doesn't have to be, somebody you consider a celebrity you reach out to, a therapist, a doctor, talk to your dog. I mean, just get it out. That's the main thing. Recognize it and get it out. Because thanks to Kristy, like I said, I told you before, in my wrestling career, I've been everywhere, done everything, saw everything I ever wanted to see, every material thing I've ever wanted in my life. I ain't gonna say I still have it. I mean, some lot of stuff I sold to the medical products, but I've owned it. And and looking back at that, I have to thank God, for allowing me to live such an amazing life, to see everything I've seen, been everywhere I've been, met a lot of people I've met, and it's. Then you think, well, why do you end up like this after living such an amazing life? And and that's the thing. I think about how I was a larger than life, never give up, never quit, never say die. And I'm thinking, maybe God give this to me because you need somebody to show the world how to kick its ass. And that's the main thing. Don't give up. Don't quit. Like the main thing I think that used to aggravate Kristy was, I used to say I'm fighting this battle alone. And the physical battle, yes, I am fighting it alone. It is like stepping in a ring. You're by yourself. But when you're down, think of a Rocky movie. You got a Rocky, you got an Apollo, you got a Paulie, a Mickey, and Adrian. You got somebody in your corner. You got somebody in your corner. And when you're down, whether your problem is real, or whether there's something in your head where you're just attacking yourself because you don't feel good about yourself for some reason, let it out. And, let somebody tell you, you are good enough. You are strong enough. You are able. And that motivation, trust me, it's a lot. Because, if you look back at my wrestling career, I was a bad guy. I spent 30 years making people hate me. And now, of course, now people know wrestling's, it's scripted entertainment. We're one-take stuntmen. And we weren't really trying to kill each other. Now the fans will come up to you and talk to you and tell you what, how great you entertained them, and or if they thought you sucked, whatever. It's just, it's just one of those things that people will come out and talk to you, and don't hide your problems. Be real. I'm not saying let all your personal business flow, but hey, I got this problem, or you experiencing this problem, I'm glad to help you. And anything you want to add, Kristy?
Well, like you made a point that you're not alone, and however you need it, like there's things that you have to go through, that there's things that even as caregivers that are going through it, that you can support each other, and then that's fine. Reach out to other, like I was saying, with your disautonomia groups, people that are actually, you're right, I can't feel what you're feeling, but there are people out there that can. These are the people you need to reach out to, and just never think that you're alone in any battle or anything that, you seek the help that there's help out there. And even if it's just someone like, it's okay to not, it's okay to not be okay. Mm-hmm. And that's not a sign of weakness. It's just something that, to admit or to look in the mirror and say, hey, I need help. That's not a sign of weakness. A sign of weakness is, not recognizing. And I'm not saying that, that you need to get the help that you need. And sometimes, and there are days that, like even you, it's okay. Just sometimes, and my biggest thing is like I'm always asking him, and probably like, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? And sometimes it's keep an eye out, but it's like at the same time you have those moments to where you do need to be, you need to have that time though to yourself and to be respectful that I'm here for you. I'm making sure you're okay. But I also respect your boundary. Sometimes you don't want to talk about, you just need that moment. It's okay to, I know not for you, I guess it's easier for me to cry than for you, but that's okay. And to recognize that, we're all human, and and you're right, maybe this is why we're going through this, is This is why you're going through this situation, to help someone else that is going through it too. I mean, I'm not saying that we've got this down. We've not got this down because we're still going through it too. But,
I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time looking myself in the mirror because I just didn't feel like it was me looking back, because it wasn't, I've, done martial art fighting, scholastic wrestling and even some martial arts. I mean, it wasn't an opponent that I could grab and put my hands on. It wasn't, and that was destroying me, because it wasn't a fight that I could actually fight. And that just took its toll on me.